Hey guys.
So we're down here on the boat, just in the engine room here.
Everyone's been asking about our engine room. There's not much to show, really. It's pretty simple, it's pretty small. It's actually big by most boat standards, just for the simple fact that we've got a full height ceiling on one side of our engine. Nobody else really has this on a small boat, especially like a seiner, but even a smaller boat like this.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen, but this is all of a result that when we rebuilt this area, we designed it so we could walk in here. Most vessels, the galley floor would actually be probably in here somewhere, and you'd either enter your engine space through a hatch in the galley floor, or maybe a small hatchway like at the base of the cabinet. Seen both ways. But our galley floor is very low. We used to just have a cover over here, which was actually part of a galley seat, part of the bench, and it was really lame. You couldn't get in here to service the engine. So when we rebuilt our fish holds and extended them forward, we put the ceiling above here and had our rigging come off of basically the ceiling outside, and we got a big, beautiful engine room out of the deal.
Yeah, that's cool. The base of our mast right there, actually.
Yeah, so this is the mast, and this is actually needs to be cut off. We've been putting this off since we installed it because it was such a nice spot to smash your head in all the time.
Yep, feels good.
It does feel good, but I think that we're moving past that enjoyment now, and we're going to cut it off. The thought was that we might have to reinforce it here, and we found out that we didn't. Yeah, so anyways, this is the exhaust, main engine, crankcase ventilation filter, some plumbing over there to our side fish holds on the port side, steering lines, the copper ones right there. Those run through the wall of the fish hold. This is pressure side of the hydraulics. This is a flow valve that goes to a pacer pump down in the bilge. This goes to the outside deck. Let's see what else off the front of the main. We've got a electric Pitts clutch. So you just flip a switch, it engages the hydraulics. This is a hydraulic pump. I think it's just a little 20 gallon per minute. It's not real big. Does what we need it to do. And the thing that we're fiddling with right now is our alternator. So we've had some belt slippage on here lately. It's starting to become an issue. And we also have a new alternator at home. So this is 105 amp. We purchased 100 and, well, it says 145 amp, but it also says 135 amp. So we're upgrading a little bit. So yeah, we're having some problems with the belt slipping on here, most likely due to higher load from a different inverter that we have now, and we got to deal with this problem. So I'm going to take this alternator off, and I'm going to check just the measurements on it and get a couple of new pulleys, and we're going to see what we need to do to get this problem rectified. So one of the issues here is to tighten this up adequately. Right now it's at the end of the adjustment on the strap right here, so it physically can't tighten up anymore, and you can see that the belt's still loose. I can spin this pulley even when it's pulled over as tight as it goes, so that's not normal. That was never like that before. We have another complete set of belts down here next to the engine. They're secured here, so if you ever break a belt or need to replace these out on the grounds, you can just clip these and put a new set of belts on. Otherwise, we need to split this clutch apart and kind of weasel them through there. So one of the things we're looking at is we're going to take this home. I'm going to double check on this pulley, make sure that if I need to order a couple of new ones I can. Got a new alternator to come down here. This one's, I can feel the bearings don't feel very good on it. They don't feel good at all.
We were kind of thinking that might have been part of the issue too.
It might be
a while
contributing
ago.
to it, but I'm not sure. But I did order a rebuild kit for either this one or the one I have at home. We have another old alternator at home, and so I have a rebuild kit for it. So I'm going to rebuild it, then I can bring it down here and put it on the boat and have it on hand in case we ever need to replace one while we're out on the grounds. So I just put this back on here. What I was doing was basically just checking the alignment of these belts. It's good. There's no problem there. And we've never had any issues. We've never broken any belts. So that tells me our alignment and everything is good. So all I have to do is make sure I get the same pulley. Thinking about going a size up, which is going to change how much power we get out of it at low speed. Like when we're just idling or just kind of putting around on the grounds, that we do a lot. So I'm going to have to measure my crank and see what the ratio is here and double check that. Look at the power curve on these alternators to see how much power it puts out at a certain RPM. But looking at it, I think what we're going to end up doing is modifying this bracket down here, and we can pull this alternator up a little tiny bit, which will allow us to get more throw off of here and tighten it up without hitting this bell housing right here. And that's been part of our problem before, is that we could only tighten it up so much. If need be, we are going to come in here and trim this out. I'd rather not. It's not that big of a deal, but I think we can solve the problem just by modifying this bracket right here and physically bringing this alternator up by about 1 inch, and it just completely changes the dynamics of this and allows us to have more room to tighten up this belt.
So what kind of engine is this?
Oh yeah, the engine. So this is a John Deere block. It's a 6414 turbo, rated at 220 horsepower. Has a 2450 RPM. We run this thing at about 1450, 1500. That's what we cruise it at. It does real good right there. It's quiet, doesn't burn fuel.
Yeah, we make decent speed.
We make decent speed. We burn about 1.7 to a little under 2 gallons an hour, depending on how heavy the boat's loaded. And so, yeah, so it's a 6414 turbo marinized by Lugger, which means they basically add the expansion tank and a water-cooled exhaust. And that's really about all they do to make it marinized. So it's been a good little unit, knock on wood, fiberglass.
Yeah, we had it
Been a good unit.
completely rebuilt when we bought the boat.
Yeah, so it's got about 13,500 hours on the rebuild. It needs painted. It's been dripped on before. We kind of got, we had a leak off of our new mast plate when we installed that. So it needs to be cleaned up and painted. It doesn't really affect the performance.
Yep, it stays dry the majority of the time.
Yeah, it stays dry now. Here in a few days, I'm going to pull this valve cover and I'm going to set these valves, so we'll bring everybody along for that. It's kind of a cool process.
Yeah, it is.
The nice thing about this engine is it's got a very good manual, maintenance manual, and just whatever you need to fix manual. It's very well written. It's very easy to follow the instructions. So we've replaced the head gasket on here before. We've had this expansion tank off, the exhaust manifold, the head. We've reset the valves on here numerous times over the years. So it's very well written, and you can do all that work yourself if you're knowledgeable and you can follow directions good. We've had the water pump off to replace the seal on it that went out one time. And so that's one nice thing about this engine, is it's extremely simple and extremely easy to work on. So back to the task at hand, this alternator. I think this is all good as far as our alignment goes. I'm not gonna worry about that too much.
So in the future, we'll bring you around the engine, give you a better look at it. Probably at the point we paint it or clean it up, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's real simple. Right here's the oil filters. It's got dual filter on the side. They're easy to access. Rain gear's in the way, but back there's the ray core. Steering pump is up in the corner for the autopilot.
Yep.
Starter is on the other side. Injection pumps on the other side. Don't really have to get over there very often. Mostly it's everything that we need to deal with on a routine maintenance type of situation is on this side, which is the 2 oil filters and the ray core. We got a really good fuel system on here. It's not an issue. There's nothing in the bottom of the bowl at all. It's got a clear bowl on the bottom. There's very little contaminants in it, crud or anything. There's never any water in it, so there's really not much of a reason to change filters out if you don't need to. This also has a secondary on the main, so pretty well covered on that. So yeah, that's kind of our setup in our engine room. It's very simple.
Yep, the big reveal.
Yeah. There's a few other things on the side here that
yeah,
you can see them much. 2-bank charger for when we're on shore power. We keep this turned on to keep our batteries topped off and conditioned. We can use it on the grounds if we need to by running our generator.
Control box for the throttle, and
yeah, that's the Mathers Micro Commander. This just has a couple of relays and sensors for the engine.
pretty much all of it, huh?
It's rattly. I can feel, I think it's maybe the rear bearing on it is going out a little bit. It's not terrible, but I can feel it. Just a little bit. So yeah, so we got a rebuild kit for yeah, this one or the other. Our other one, the rectifier went out, which is on the back right here. Rectifier went bad, and so I got a complete rebuild kit for it. This one, I might just order a set of bearings for it. And bust it open and take a look at anyways, and we'll see. But yeah. Cool. So there it is. There's our generator under the galley bench right there. If anybody's wondering, this little 5 kW. Northern Lights. It needs to get moved to the lazarette one of these days.
Yep.
But for now, it's in here.
It's pretty quiet. I mean, it'd be nice to have it silent in here, but at the same time, it's not too bad.
It's not terrible. It would be nice though.
Yep.
When we're relaxing on the hook at night and cooking dinner and watching a movie. Be nice to get it moved. It's kind of on the list.
Yep. Another one of those things.
All right, well, let's see if this new bracket's gonna work okay. Let's get these belts lined up. Crank. Looks good. Well, definitely plenty of room to tighten that up now.
Much more room, right?
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Oh, I didn't check that darn plug, did I? Oh, it's right there. It's not gonna work. I'm gonna have to turn that.
Hits that oil cooler.
Yeah. Okay, well, I hope I can get this thing turned. I should have just done that before I put this pulley on. Gosh darn it. Okay guys, so we got to split this case apart and rotate this 180 degrees. So this port is on top. Right now it's upside down, the back of this, and I can't plug in the exciter wire because it hits the oil cooler on the main. So I'm hoping that I can do this with the pulley on, otherwise I gotta take it home and get it off there. Let's see here.
That was easy enough, huh?
Yeah. Surprisingly, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes things love to be stubborn. Snug these down good. Good.
Well, they should be less floppy now, right? As far as
It
tapping on that bell housing.
It looks good when I pulled on it, huh?
Yeah.
And get it tightened up good. Go grab a stick of wood out there.
Okay.
We can poke in here. 2x2 if there's one laying around out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hooking up the wiring.
Yeah, wires are simple, positive, a ground, and then the exciter wire that just plugs in right there. So pretty darn simple. Okay, that's good. Let's tighten up this other one and we should be in business. Okay, that looks good. Plug this guy back in.
All right, guys, we'll fire her up. Like it is producing power, so that's good, right?
Yeah, mission accomplished. Yeah, we'll see if we hear it squeal any, but I doubt we will. It's much tighter.
Yeah, sure is.
That bracket really, like literally just needed another 1/2 get that done.
Pretty simple little mod.
Yeah, very simple. Didn't take long to make that bracket. And that needed to be done for a while now, so we'll run that for a little while and check on those belts, and should be good to go.
Yeah.
Just in the meantime, we can go work on our hydros.
The other day we were at the water dock and one of the fittings on there shattered, so I'm gonna go ahead and rip it apart, get it fixed up. We were planning on moving it at some point, but not today. We'll just fix it up and move it at a later date.